Hi friends, welcome back. Today I want to show you how I am building my container garden in my gravel driveway. Last year I was very successful at growing peppers and tomato inside my self-watering buckets, also known as self-wicking buckets. And I want to show you a quick, easy way to build them. And I'm going to show you last year's version, which creates a little bit of debate online whether or not they create mosquito habitat. So I'm going to show you what I do and how I built them. But before that, let me show you what the self-watering bucket location looks like right now. Last year I grew this pepper plant in this exact kind of setting. This is exactly the one I grew it in, and check out how it's doing right now. I overwintered this inside my greenhouse. It has been in my greenhouse all winter long, and now it came out here. And check out the amount of growth it has right now. Check out the amount of peppers. It also has a lot of aphids on it, and I keep spraying it with water, getting it off the leaves. But I think I'm gonna take out the neem oil and hit it with the neem oil as well. But check this out. I'm also using this to grow little trees and lemon trees inside of these. They do really well. Check out the growth on this pepper plant right now. It's looking pretty, and I'm telling you, this is really easy to do. In comparison, you have a bucket here that hasn't been watered too much, and this one dries out very quickly, and you have to water it every single day. So the benefits of having a self-watering bucket versus just a regular bucket to plant on is that the bucket has a reservoir at the bottom, and it draws up moisture from there, and it keeps the soil constantly wet or moist. And since the plants have that constant supply of water, they don't tend to dry out, and they don't really get stressed in the heat of summer. If you've ever grown in pots, you know that they dry out very quickly, and you need to keep watering them very often. Often in summer I have to water twice a day in order for my pots to be moist. But with this method, you don't have to water very often. I often do it once a week. So I have two versions of the bucket. This one has spacer blocks, and this one has a large reservoir. It's like 2.5 gallons. And this one, this year I decided to not put all the bells and whistles into it. And what I did is I took two buckets, and one of the buckets has holes at the bottom. I'm going to show you by making one. The tools for this project are very cheap to get, sometimes even free. I have two 5-gallon buckets that I have gotten for free from a sandwich shop. This used to be pickle buckets. So what you're going to do is take a drill, and you're going to make holes here. Easy. You want to get enough holes in there so that when you water the bucket here, it drains freely. I have this piece of rope here that is about 2 feet long, and it's about 3/4 of an inch thick, and it's a cotton rope. You can use an old piece of rag, an old towel, whatever you can. It will just draw the moisture from the bucket at the bottom to the top. I have a spade bit that is about 3/4 wide, so I'm going to make 2 holes to feed this through here. So I have my bucket here, and I made those 2 large holes that I told you about. Now I'm going to feed this, and this piece here will lay at the bottom flat. So now I have this bucket with this piece of rope, and this rope is going to be our wick. So this rope is going to wick moisture all the way up here and into our bucket, and our soil is going to be sitting right here, and that soil is going to draw the moisture and keep itself moist and wet, and that's what the plants love. So now you have your second bucket, and this one I haven't drilled any holes in it yet, and let me show you what I'm going to do next. We are going to insert this one into that one without any holes, and it so works that this creates a perfect seal here. Last year we had a problem with mosquitoes getting in here, so this sits perfectly in there, and with the weight of the soil, there's no seam in here where mosquitoes can get in. So now I'm going to tell you how to keep your mosquitoes out. The bottom bucket needs a breathing hole so that when it rains and it gets over full, it only holds this much amount of water here, and then it flows out freely out of here. So mosquitoes are pretty smart. So if you use a drill bit that is wide enough for them to fit through there, they'll get through that drainage hole into your bucket, lay the eggs, and then you'll have mosquitoes in your yard. So I'm going to be using a very small drill bit this year, 2.5 millimeters. So look for a drill bit that is about that thickness, and I'm going to show you how it works. So when it rains, this bucket can get full of water, but it starts draining immediately into the reservoir. And you can see here, you see this right here? That's where the bucket is allowed to drain freely out of this reservoir. And that's how you avoid having your seedlings or plants sit in stagnant water, which would actually kill the plants. So it really does work wonders. So buckets are different and the lip design is different. So you have to figure out where to drill your hole. One trick I found is if you stick this up into the light, you can kind of see where the bottom of that bucket is. You want to drill it right at the bottom of that bucket. I'm doing about 3 inches from the bottom here, and that allows for about 1.5 gallons of water to sit at the bottom of this bucket. So we have our bucket here, and when you insert it, the bottom is somewhere around here, right below that bucket. And see, it went in so easy that I can tell it only pierced through the first one. It doesn't really matter if you pierce into the other bucket, so just so you know. But that means that the little space between this air gap and that area is always going to be wet, which gives less space to the roots of the plant. I'm going to do 2 holes. So now we have this tiny little drain hole here, and I drilled 2 of them just to make sure that in a big rain event we have enough space to let the water out. The reason I created these buckets last year is because we had a drought and I was tired of watering my buckets, and this year I decided to make even more of them because if you can see here, I have this on top of gravel, and I also have this black plastic here, and the black plastic doesn't allow any weeds to grow. And inside my very beautiful soil that I put in here, there is very little weeds. So this makes growing peppers, eggplants, zucchinis, and tomatoes really easy, as a breeze. This year I don't have a lot of time. I have 2 little girls, one is 3 and one is 1, and they take up a lot of time. So I'm not in the garden as much as I want to, but this allows me to grow a ton of vegetables on space that would be wasted otherwise, and I have to do very little weeding. So let me show you what the bucket looks like with some soil. So if you take this bucket that I just built and you add soil to it, I leave about 3 inches here from the top. So when you water it, you can fill this whole space with water, and that will sink to the bottom and then drain into that reservoir. And when this starts getting dry, it will start wicking the moisture into the bucket itself. So that's what I have here. It's so easy to do, and it costs not a lot of money, and it's been very successful for me. Look at this tomato plants that I have here and this pepper plants. So last year's version has this little spacer blocks here, and these are about 3.5 inches. So what it does is that it creates this reservoir down here that is twice as big. But it creates another problem. It creates this gap, and mosquitoes do get in here. The solution for this is to put a mosquito dunk, which is a mosquito insecticide. The mosquito dunks kill any larvae that the mosquitoes lay in there, so they are not allowed to reproduce, and you only need to put it in there once. This is what the inside of the bucket looks, and look, there's a reservoir of water there, and it's doing quite well. I have really enjoyed making these buckets for my garden, and they do really well for me. I hope that you'll be able to create some of these for yourself, and make sure that you hit up Craigslist or restaurants. They have food grade buckets that you can have for free, and you'll divert them from the landfill for a few years. Once you are done with these plastic buckets, you can empty the soil and give them to the recycling facility, and they will still take them. So very inexpensively, you can build some self-watering buckets or self-wicking buckets, and you can grow a lot of food in a small space, even in a desert. thank you so much for watching today's video. And if you want to see my full garden, I have created a whole food forest here in Northern Virginia. Check out my other videos. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you on the next one.